We're going to ask that our group members that are joining us will share for about 5 minutes. So we just wanted them to give you a little bit of a jump start on the discussion that we hope everyone has in the breakout groups. We do have some guided questions that we'd like to get some answers to and make all of you brainstorm a little bit this morning with us. We will recap that at the end and ask that each group have someone that is willing to report back overall. We'll be taking all of that brainstorm that you give us today and combining it with the case studies and research that we've done for a follow-up workshop in 2 weeks, which we hope that you'll be able to join us back for. That workshop 2 weeks from now is going to be focused more on funding and resources for the ideas, solutions, and programs that you guys discussed today. And then CJ, I'll plug our May 6th conference. So we'll actually be sharing the results of these 2 workshops at that conference. So that'll be focused on affordable housing. So thanks so much. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce our team. Again, I'm Taryn Savia, the director of the Florida Center for Community Design and Research at the University of South Florida. We are part of the School of Architecture. I have with me Maggie Winter.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
And then I also have with me Brandon Newton. So Brandon.
Thank you everyone for having and joining. I'm a graduate student here at USF. For graduating about 2 years or so. Thank you.
And then we will also have, I think we have 4 other team members with us who are going to be guiding you through breakout groups. So we have Justin Stone.
Hello, guys.
All right, we have Colby Cunningham.
Hello, everyone.
We have David Vasquez.
Hello.
And we have Maria Guzman.
And Maria may still be trying to get her computer to turn on, so she'll be joining us shortly.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it over to Brandon, who is going to go through our presentation. Go, Brandon.
So just arrows.
Yep, it should be.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And so this part of the workshop, we're going to be talking about making the case for energy efficiency and addressing energy cost burden. And this topic is really important to address because it tends to impact those who can least afford high energy bills. Around 25% of all US households and 66% of all low-income households experience some sort of cost burden when it comes to energy. And that's when more than 6% of your income is spent towards utility bills. And this is especially devastating, particularly when you factor that low-income customers tend to pay higher fixed rates in the first place. And energy burden and energy efficiency in the Southeast in particular is an issue since over half of the housing stock in the South was built before the nation's first energy code in the 70s. And over half of all the states in the South use an energy code that was generated over 10 years ago, while other states are working to repeal those energy codes in the first place. And this makes affordable housing even less attainable for those who are in the low income threshold. And so energy cost burden and efficiency are really important issues to address since a lot of times weatherization and retrofit programs have their income thresholds so low, a lot of working people can't qualify for assistance as shown in this table. And so this shows that, okay, and this shows, this table shows that, for example, a household size of 3, you have to make out less than $34,545 a year. And this annual income is much less than what a lot of professions can earn, as shown in this slide here. And so part of my research was looking at analyzing case studies that addresses certain different types of strategies to address energy cost burden. And so this is a kind of a spectrum that we use to kind of categorize which programs fall on which threshold. And so we have the informed/educated, which is on the far left, which tends to be less expensive. And so this is more kind of catered towards addressing user habits like unplugging electronic devices. And then one step up, you have small retrofits, which is emphasizing appliance replacement and having programs to replace light bulbs. And then on the far right, which tends to be a little bit more expensive, but you have more energy cost savings. This is deep retrofits, which is a lot of insulation and a lot of repairing windows and doors. So the first case that we looked at was in New York. And this program centralized a lot of information within a wide range of services. And this resiliency audit program was run by the Center for NYC Neighborhoods. And it allows homeowners living in specific flood-prone neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Queens to work with professionals like plumbers, engineers, to collaborate on retrofits. And they also provide preventative measures that help to mitigate insurance costs. And one interesting service they provided was to provide free backwater valve installation programs, which helps mitigate the potential sewage backups that is caused by flooding. And so this scope was to expand their capacity to address 2,500 low to moderate income thresholds. The next case study that I studied was Habitat for Humanity in Sarasota. And this partnership provided a lot of audits with Building America to provide informal retrofits to single family homes. And they provided a lot of technical assistance to this project and to really target deep energy retrofits, such as addressing ducts and air leakages. And so one solution was to provide an unvented attic to air seal the whole house. And it was also decided that an unvented attic was the best solution because it provided large air pathways from the existing vented attic to the house. And so also another initiative that they had was to seal all windows correctly and also integrate a white shingle roof that is installed to address the moisture penetration issue that they were facing. The next case that we looked at was also Habitat for Humanity, but this was in Lake Sumter. And it was about 1,000 square foot home. And this is also Building America for Research. And they collaborated with Fortis Solar Energy to provide energy efficient measures. And one of the issues that the Building America team sought to address was to install enhanced attic insulation, address the lack of Energy Star windows, and integrate a heat pump with seasonal energy efficiency, a SEER of at least 13. And so the results from this initiative was a 30% increase in energy efficiency. And due to the low cooling loads in the house, it wasn't really effective to install a high energy efficiency pump. And so the most significant saving they saw from this study was to insulate exposed concrete blocks, integrating once again an unvented attic to seal the entire house. And they also sprayed the entire attic with open cell foam, and they brought the air handler and air ducts within the thermal envelope. This next case study goes to multifamily housing. And this is also here in Tampa Bay area, Pinellas County. And this multifamily project is called Crystal Lake Manor. And Pinellas County Housing Authority, they did a walkthrough energy audit in April 2015 using a Crystal Lake Manor unit inspection checklist. And I do have those checklists at my disposal. So if you're interested to see kind of how their template and how they approach the energy retrofit process, you can contact me and I can forward you that checklist if you would like it. But in this audit, this housing authority was able to identify treatment types and most needed replacement, such as installing energy efficient LED or CFL lights. And the walkthrough audit, they also pointed out that installation rating R30 or less needed to be enhanced to an R value of at least 41. And so the results were also very beneficial, a 13.3 for energy efficiency improvement. A lot of this analysis shows that prior to the retrofits, this housing unit was using much more energy consumption. And also another initiative that proved beneficial was addressing ductwork once again in the attic. and all 11 attic ventilation ducts were fixed. So that's another big issue that this housing authority was facing with this project. Another multifamily low income project that we studied was West Palm Beach. And they also performed audits and informed the retrofits to multifamily homes. And they also have a specific checklist to address the type of homes that they have in this complex. And based on the evaluation of the information acquired during the 84 audits, they were able to identify certain electrical equipment that were in most need of replacement for each unit. And this was mostly like addressing water heater issues. And once again, like the lack of insulation. And then another issue that was kind of noted through this audit program was that a lot of the HVAC units were outdated. And so in the results, they saw that through these retrofits and enhancing insulation especially, the daily consumption fell drastically, about 30% through daily usage. And yes, it's daily usage. And so they also said if a choice has to be made between an Energy Star HVAC system and installing a lower level efficiency system across multiple units, they found that doing the more deeper retrofits had more energy savings. And the next project that we studied is in Princeton Village in Virginia. And this is a 105 unit low rise. And this is a townhouse style, so it's a little bit different than the other case studies that we had previously mentioned. And this community had heat pumps that had an average age of 19 years old, and the oldest was 40 years old. So these are pretty dated infrastructural units. And so the old 11 SEER heating pumps were replaced with 16 SEER heater pumps. And a total of 74 HVAC units were replaced through a program that they have in Virginia called the Appalachian Power Take Charge, Virginia Low Income Multifamily Program. And this program allows HVAC replacement and maintenance. And they actually partnered with Train to acquire heat pumps in bulk and contracted with a local company there for installation. And so the ultimate result of this project was to replace the heat pumps. And the heat pumps alone saved about $300 per unit. And so this was very a successful retrofit in providing energy efficiency for this low income community. And we also studied the Christiansburg Bluff Apartments, which is adjacent to where the previous case study was analyzed. And the heat pump replacements and other efficiency upgrades, they resulted in an overall savings of also around $300 per unit. And they have about 120 units of low to moderate income housing. And they also had about 11 SEER heat pumps that average age was 17 years old. And the oldest one is 42 years old. And so to really integrate these cost efficiency measures, they focused on recommissioning these heat pumps. And once again, taking advantage of the Take Charge Virginia Low to Moderate Income Family Program, which helped finance this project. And so that, I believe, is the last case study that we have. Yes, and so at this point now we are doing the knowledge sharing portion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. So we raced through a handful of really exciting case studies, and hopefully that gave you an idea of the kind of scope of investment that we've been looking into. One of the things we're really excited about with this particular group is that we know how deeply embedded all of you are in working towards energy efficiency and healthy communities, right? The affordability and resiliency. So some of you in your breakout groups will be able to talk about the impact on human health in these improvements, as well as cost savings to both the residents and the property owners, right? And there's different scales that we were trying to look at, owner occupied housing, as well as rental units, right? They have different incentive packages, different financing constraints, but we're really excited to hear from you guys about all of the things that you're working on related to that. And to just another little taste test as we transition into the breakout groups, we've asked a couple community members to talk about the work they've done locally. in this arena. So we've asked each of, you're going to see some names on the list but we've asked these people for a 5-minute share of the work they've been dedicated to. So we're going to start with Sarah Kane, who is a sustainability program supervisor. And Sarah's hopefully going to share with us a little bit about Sarasota's energy upgrade program and their partnerships with the housing authority.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Did you want to introduce the others? Sorry.
No, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk about the good work that we're doing in Sarasota County and how we can all partner together. So pleasure to be here. Thank you. We've been working on energy efficiency education and our sustainability program since 2012. We actually started with a grant from the Department of Energy to purchase energy and water efficiency materials and devices. So we've been doing these educational workshops for quite a while. And in 2016, we realized that there was a big energy burden in our community, and we needed to solely focus on low income and people of color and underserved community members through our outreach and education initiatives. So we started partnering with a lot of nonprofit organizations, including Salvation Army, United Way, Children's First, Habitat for Humanity, and our big major partner now, Sarasota Housing Authority. So we did some research and found that, in our community, similar to what was shared earlier, but specific for our county, low income community members in Sarasota County are spending 13 to 19% of their income on just energy bills alone, and median plus income folks are spending 2 to 3% of their income on just energy bills alone. So there's a big disparity there. We also have some other studies that I'm happy to share with everyone, but it's even more important right now because our utility bills have gone up. We are in FBL territory. So some of you all might be in other utility districts, but ours increased quite a bit over the last year. Not only our rates just for residents, but also the fuel rates as well. And I think that those will continue to go up. So energy efficiency education and programs like these are super important. We partnered with Sarasota Housing Authority, and we were lucky to get 2 different grants recently. So a couple years ago, we got a grant from the Branzik Foundation in Sarasota County, and that was really great to partner with them and also the Housing Authority to really amp up our program. So we have an energy coach training program where we train volunteers to be energy coaches, and we go into the Sarasota Housing Authority units, so affordable housing, and these are all public housing units, and we do a mini energy and water audit for the buildings, and then we install devices. So we install LED light bulbs, water efficient devices, and we do a lot of education with the residents, just talking about, asking them about their utility bills and also health and safety in the community. And Sarasota Housing Authority also received funding to hire a maintenance staff person and also additional materials and devices and weatherization type of devices that they are installing in the homes currently. So we've been really able to ramp that up, and I think I don't have too much time, but I will just mention one other thing. During COVID, we had to change things up a little bit, and we really focused on the financial resources that are available for our citizens, and we made a fact sheet. So not only to save water and energy at home, but also all the financial resources that are available to citizens, and we distribute those widely amongst at our libraries for people that were coming in for the rental assistance program and some of the CARES programs that we had going on during COVID. So that also allowed us to expand our partnerships. But I'm really just grateful for the funding. And one other all of our local foundations in Sarasota, and that has allowed us to do energy and water efficiency upgrades for nonprofit organizations, and that's really expanded recently too. So I'll stop there. I think I'm out of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions later.
That was wonderful. Thank you. I'm sure people will have lots of questions for you in your breakout group too. So next on our list up here, I think I saw Heather log in, but Heather Santana from TICO, she's a program manager of the, I hope I got this right, the Weatherization Energy Education Program. Heather, if you're there, go take the mic, please.
I do not see her.
Okay, we will go straight to Sheila. I know you're there. Sheila Mcnamara is the Hillsborough County Sustainability Manager, and she's agreed to share some of her work that she's been doing with SELF and efficiency, energy efficiency programs.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Mcnamara, like I was just introduced, and I'd also like to introduce our County Energy Manager, Eric. Eric, if you can just wave and let people know who you are.
How's it going, everyone?
Hi, Eric.
There's that New York welcome. How's it going? How you doing? Anyhow, we love Eric. So like Sarah said, you know, Hillsborough County has been working on energy management activities for quite a while. And we had an energy manager hired for 20 years before Eric joined our team in the past about year and a half. So we've been looking at a lot of technology that we do for county facilities as well as not-for-profits, and then looking at community assistance programs. Let me see if I can share this. I cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet. CJ, do we need to give Sheila any kind of special permission so she can share her screen?
You should now be granted permission to show your screen.
Do you see my screen now?
You might have to reshare.
No?
Yay.
Okay. Thank you, CJ. So as I was saying, Hillsborough County has done a lot of energy initiatives as well as other sustainability initiatives. We have a downtown chiller plant, which is with ice storage. So we make ice off hours during the evening, and then that melts and it's piped within 2 miles of underground pipes to about 7 of our downtown facilities, including the school board office. And then that was so successful that we put in another one at the sheriff's complex. We've done a lot of initiatives with LED lighting lately and solar. So on the LED lighting, we have done buildings, parking lots, garages, about 300 facilities. We're projecting, when we had 200 facilities, we were projecting $760,000 annual savings. We've done sports fields, which gave us better lighting, instant on, no spillover. And we did traffic lights about 10, 11 years ago. We're on our second lighting for that. And I don't know why my screen is not progressing. Sorry about that. Anyhow, I give up. We started with solar on the downtown county courthouse back in 2010. And since then we went to our libraries, and then since then we've gone to all sorts of facilities, and we have a 2 megawatt system going in at our Valrico wastewater treatment plant facility, scheduled for 2022, the end 2023. Really talking to the community about the benefits of solar and reducing energy grid consumption. We also use solar for solar safety purposes, which includes lighting and putting lights and safety traffic crossing signals and things with solar plus battery backup, which enables it to have immediate activation upon power loss, as well as just giving us opportunities to light up areas that would not be easily accessible otherwise. And then for several years now, we have partnered with EPC and the Solar United Neighbors, which Julia is on today. And we've hosted a solar co-op. So Julia can give you more updated figures, but the last count was a little over 1 megawatt of solar on county homes to date. And the next solar launch of this year's co-op will be the end of April. So looking at helping people get group pricing. Sun is wonderful with giving assistance for technical education and information and workshops. And just talking to people about, you know, the value of solar, as well as looking at how we can do our greenhouse gas reductions. We did partner with Taryn's group and Maggie and USF FCCDR to have greenhouse gas inventories done recently, which showed us our own county operations. And then they did a community-wide one to include the cities and all of Hillsborough County. And that's what we're looking at is, you know, what would be the biggest bang for the buck with the cost associated with those items. With SELF, we brought SELF into the county, which is the Solar Energy Loan Fund. I don't think Annie was able to make it today, but SELF's mission is to rebuild and empower underserved communities specifically, although they will provide services to anyone. But they provide access to affordable and inclusive financing for sustainable home improvements. So the primary lending focus with that is not solar, but energy efficiency. And that includes weatherization of homes, you know, upgrades for roofing, insulation, and it goes beyond energy as well, because they also look at septic to sewer, you know, lateral line connections, that sort of thing. So we brought SELF into the county as a partner 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, and they offer low interest financing. What's nice about SELF is that I think the biggest attraction is that their loans are based on people's ability to pay, not based on credit history or bad credit, lack of credit, anything like that. And the biggest value is that they do the project management, hand-holding from beginning until end. They pre-screen and vet the contractors and make sure that they are properly licensed and insured. And they only pay the contractors. They handle that only once it's been approved by local building inspectors and the client. There's no other fees associated with that. And they have special programs for their unsecured loans. They're special programs for women and veterans and elderly and disabled and, all sorts of different groups. They do include mobile homes, which not a lot of programs do accept mobile homes under their programs. And like I said, it's based on your ability to pay it back. It's not tied to your house to a tax or a title lien. So that's very valuable. We also have, through our Hillsborough County Department of Affordable Housing and the City of Tampa, we have owner-occupied housing rehab programs. We have emergency home energy assistance programs through EHEAP and LIHEAP. That is for people whose gross household income cannot exceed 150% of federal poverty guidelines. We also have Operation Code Vet, which is rehab of existing homes and property of all military veterans with related conservation repairs, including roof repair, replacement, window replacement, plumbing repairs, appliance, adaptation for disabilities, that sort of thing. There's also the Florida Weatherization Assistance Program, which is available, and that's an average of $2,600 provided to residents for repairs, including insulation, weather stripping, HVAC equipment, and then the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is a 203K rehab mortgage, home investment partnership program, and that sort of thing. And then we've also been working with TICO to expand awareness of their programs for free energy audits, as well as weatherization programs that they have available, all sorts of energy saving programs that they have available. And then we've held a series of either in-person lunch and learns or webinars. The next one is coming up for April 21st, where we really will be there to answer questions as far as housing issues, energy loss issues, and related programs that could be of value. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks. I saw a couple of chats pop up and we'll go back to monitoring, but people are eager for contact. So at a later date, we'll make sure everybody gets the contact information and the slides also. So Heather Santana, did you log in while the others were presenting? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask Monique then and introduce Monique Trice from Duke Energy. She's volunteered to present some information on outreach and energy efficiency.
And I am here, Taryn, when you want me.
Hi, Susan.
Hi,
Thank
Susan,
you.
thanks.
Do you mind being our closer?
Not at all. I'm used to being entertaining. No, it's okay. It's all good.
Okay, Susan, thank you. So Monique, I don't know if you and Melvin are planning to present together. You're more than welcome to present together or independently, but I'd like to welcome you both from Duke Energy.
Well, good morning. I'm Monique Trice. Melvin and I are colleagues and we work together. Our programs are very similar, but we do have some differences. So I'll just go first because my program is not as in-depth as his is. So that'll be awesome for him to be able to share. So I work at Duke Energy. I manage the low income weatherization program, which you all may be familiar with. It's also called LIWEP. I work with nonprofit agencies as well as local municipal agencies that are in our service territory. As you know, Duke is throughout the state, pretty much from all the way down from St. Pete all the way up to Gainesville, pretty much, maybe a little bit of Tallahassee. And there are some other utility companies in between there, but we do service the majority of the state. So what my program, what we do is provide an incentive for those agencies that do weatherization for income eligible customers. So what the agency will do, they receive their funding and they will go into the homes and they will provide different types. They'll do an assessment to see what the home needs. Some of the, excuse me, some of the things that we provide incentives for would be HVAC maintenance, duct repair, heat pump, installation of AC. We do, of course, we do light bulbs, of course, because that is the business of what we do. So we do installation, water heater, pipe wraps, shower heads, aerators, refrigerator replacement, smart power strips. So when the agencies, when they go in and install those items, they then provide us documentation, and we provide a small stipend. It's not the full amount of what the installation would be, but the one thing that's a positive for our program is that our funding gives them the opportunity to reach more customers. So once they spend money, they know they'll get a little bit back from us. So our goal is to help them reach more customers. I'm going to turn it over to Melvin because his program is very similar, but how he gets his customers is just a little bit different than how I service mine.
Well, good morning to everyone. And Monique actually has the forerunner to the program that I manage. I manage a program that's called Neighborhood Energy Saver. And what we do is we go into income eligible neighborhoods and we install up to 20 free home improvements. The gentleman that was talking a little bit earlier about the case studies, you kind of zeroed in on a lot of what we do. So you'll see a lot of similarities in some of your research as to how we go about implementing our program. You will find out later that Heather and I definitely share similarities in our menu of offerings. And also at Jacksonville Electric, they do something similar as well. But we got into this way back in, I would say, early or late 90s, as far as coming up with an outreach to our customers. We started in Palmetto Park over in St. Pete with about 300 customers to just test drive it to see how it would work and the impact that it had the potential to have. So what we did is we created a program. We didn't want a Duke Energy program. We wanted one that aligned with what the state and the feds were doing as well. So our eligibility requirement will probably resonate with you in being very similar. We do single family homes as well as apartments. Our requirement is that they meet at least 200% of the poverty income guidelines. It doesn't make any difference to us whether they own or rent. They just have to be a Duke Energy customer and reside in our service territory. Now, we actually have an internal mapping tool that's tied to some purchase axiom data where we can go in and draw boundaries around whatever neighborhood that we want to go into. And then we're able to capture all of that data for two purposes. The first one is to be able to create a mailing campaign. The next one is for us to be able to create a production schedule. We have a very elaborate notification campaign that we use to be able to let the customers know that we're coming to their neighborhood and the things that we are looking to do in the homes. We start each campaign with what we call a kickoff or a community information session, where we invite all of the residents that we have mailed information to come and hear about what we are doing. So what we like to do is we'll create a little bit of a program where we will have local government officials and community leaders, when we can find them, and nonprofit agencies to come and talk about their impressions of what we're doing. And the next hour is spent feeding and fellowshipping. So we feed them a nice meal. And then the next day, our team starts their campaign into the neighborhood. So we mail out an introductory letter, just pretty much letting them know who we are, what we are doing, and what they can expect. Then we send them out a postcard, an invitation to come to the kickoff event. Then we will also send them out a postcard reminder to let them know the week or that we are scheduled to be in their neighborhood, along with a projected time, usually between, I like to say, 9 and noon and 1 to 5. Our team will also leave them a post-it note on their door if we come and they are not home. We provide them with a phone number where they can contact us. We also utilize contractors in our program that does insulation up to R38 and duct leakage repair. So we don't replace, but we will fix joints and connections. We also will make at least 4 attempts to be able to come to their home before we leave the neighborhood. And the size of the neighborhood will actually determine how long we will be in the neighborhood. So we do smaller ones and we do larger ones. Smaller ones may be about 500 or 600. The larger ones, we will probably go up to about 2,000 homes. In our presentation to the customer, we create an expectation as far as what our team will look like, the apparel that they will wear, and to be able to look by identification. And we encourage them not to let them in unless they are wearing that apparel and they have identification in a very visible location. So we install up to 8 LED light bulbs. Every home is not going to take these measures or all of these measures, but as many of them as we can install, we will install. We also do weather stripping of the 2 primary doors coming in and out of the house. We'll install door sweeps as well. We will do water improvements such as water flow restrictors. We do 3 per home. We will do a nice one in the kitchen with a swivel head attachment, 2 fixed in the bathrooms. And we will also check the temperature of the hot water. And if it exceeds 125 degrees, we'll make a recommendation to turn it down, and we'll turn it down for them if they like. We also install these nice shower heads. And if it's a senior or a person with a disability, we'll install one with a nozzle attachment, make it convenient for them. We also will wrap water heaters if it requires it, and we'll wrap the hot and cold water pipes. We look for penetrations where air infiltration may be coming in, and we'll seal those with foam caulking. We will install a wall plate thermometer, and we put that on the furthest wall away from the unit so that they can get a relative idea of what their actual temperature is in the house and make the proper adjustment. We put temperature cards in the freezer and the fresh food section, and we encourage them to use medium settings to be able to accommodate that. We give them up to 4 air conditioning filters, and that's to get them used to the whole idea of being able to change a filter. If they have window units, we'll give them 2 covers to put on them when they're not in use. As I mentioned earlier, we seal joints and connections, and we will upgrade the insulation if they need it up to R38. We also will do basic air conditioning maintenance for them as well. Then we leave them with some collateral. We will give them a 10 tips magnet that they can put on their refrigerator every time they open the door. Hopefully that will be a great reminder for them of the things that they need to be doing. We will also give them a 12-month energy efficient calendar. Every month has a new tip on it. Then the last thing we'll do going out the door is to be able to explain exactly what we've done in their home. And we have this pie chart that we share with them that features each one of the items in the home and the power usage so that they can get a real good idea that it's more than just a light bill. And mentioning that, we also do a presentation for our nonprofits and anyone else that is interested that's called It's More Than Just a Light Bill. And with that, we feature all these energy saving tips. So we like to make it interactive and engaging. It's remarkable about what people think they know and what they learn when we're able to do with it. We also partner with several of similar type agencies: Florida Association of Community Action Agency, Florida Community Development Association, the Urban Leagues in Orange County and Pinellas County, Florida Housing Coalition, of which we sponsor the energy efficiency session and invite all you to come out. That will be August the 29th through the 31st and participate in that. And we also operate here at Duke a relationship that we call the Youth Energy Academy, where we actually go out and find kids in income eligible neighborhoods and invite them to a 2-day workshop where we can teach them everything about how power is made all the way to get into their home. And we have another academy that we do for community college kids at Polk State. So we're very engaged and focused on the whole footprint of energy efficiency and just trying to find new and unique ways to be able to increase it.
Wow. You do all that by yourself?
No, not at all. We have a great team of people, and we've sort of kind of figured this out, to a great extent. We've even had opportunities to partner with Susan's folks over at SACE. So we've done some really good outreach.
That's great.
I really liked hearing about sending out the postcard introduction and then the follow-up and then coming into the community and then feeding them a meal, right? Because it does help build a bond. So yeah, it's really great to hear just about those different steps that you take to coming into a community and also being able to focus on different neighborhoods that really, need the assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering also, since you said that you've been doing this since the 90s, so I'm sure you've learned a handful of lessons that we can talk about throughout the rest of the workshop. Do you ever go back to communities you've already worked in?
Yes. Well, the way that we've had to approach this is we started with a menu of offerings when we first started doing this. And then we introduce what we call 2.0 measures, which is the insulation, basic air conditioning maintenance, and the duct sealing. So now we are having the opportunity to go back to some of those neighborhoods to bring these net new measures.
Mm-hmm.
So we're making our round. It takes a lot, since I'd say right around 2007, when we got full blown into this, we've probably been close to about 70, 71 neighborhoods. And that's well over 80 to 90,000 customers that we've had the opportunity to touch. And from this program here in Florida, when we became Duke Energy, we actually shared it with our other jurisdictions. So now we have it in North and South Carolina, the portions that we have jurisdiction over. We have it in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. So it's gotten around quite a bit.
And what Melvin is not saying, I just want to say right quick, he is our resident expert when it comes to weatherization programs for Duke Energy. He's been doing this a very long time, and I am honored to work with him, and I am learning a lot, but he is definitely our resident expert.
Well, Monique and Melvin, thank you very much. We really appreciate that share. And so we have one more share before we jump into our breakout groups.
And I don't think she needs much of an introduction in this group. Susan Glickman from the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. We are honored to hear from you.
Great, thanks a lot. I come at this from sort of two sort of perspectives, but it's really kind of in a policy lens to elevate this, to grow, the good things that we have heard the USF students kind of coalesce in Sarasota and Hillsborough County and the good things that utilities are doing in the community. I'm a Tampa native. I have been working on climate and energy issues for the last 22 years. So I have kind of a longevity like Melvin does that I bring to the table. And energy efficiency is just key. It is an equity issue because affluent people are getting more efficient all the time. They're getting new air conditioners and new windows. So it can be a challenging issue. So we start in the state of Florida that we have no target for energy efficiency from a state. We also have no target for renewable energy. We don't have a renewable portfolio standard. But every 5 years, the Florida Public Service Commission sets conservation goals. And our friends at the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy, which track these sorts of things, out of 52 utilities nationwide, Tampa Electric is 46 out of 52, Duke is 48 out of 52, and Florida Power and Light is 51 out of 52. There were some earlier things Sarah mentioned, the rate increase and the fuel charges. It's really important for everyone to just be straightforward about the utility business model and where that's at and how things are kind of shifting and changing in the 21st century, where, you know, back in the day, franchise agreements, there was a challenge to even have universal service. That's just not the case anymore. So there are some institutions and constructs that have been built up or sort of around us that I actually really do think are shifting and changing. So every 5 years in Florida, we set conservation goals. It's called FECA, the Florida Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. I myself have been involved in 3 FECAs in 2009, 2014, and 2018. And that's where we set the goals. The utilities come back and they do program plans. And in the last FECA, the staff announced that there was somehow tension in the process between the goal setting and the program planning, and that we should change that. And there's now an open rulemaking. I see things move slowly in government, but this has moved ridiculously slowly. Florida clings to a cost benefit test called the rate impact measure. We're the only state to use it. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's antiquated. Obviously, the nature of energy efficiency is to use less energy, right? So it's going to have an impact on rates. So it's, again, we are the only state to use it. So from that point of view, we're doing pretty poorly from a state point of view. Again, you have to understand that utility business model, because 75% of Florida is covered by investor-owned utilities. They get a guaranteed range of a rate of return on capital expenditures. So the business model incentivizes building power plants, undergrounding transmission lines, anything that's an expensive capital infrastructure. So it disincentivizes helping people use less energy, because not only does it, and I'm not suggesting that there aren't some good programs out there, but generally speaking, utility business model, big picture of the incentive is not only not to help people use less energy. If we capture all the cost-effective efficiency, it makes it harder to argue in the need determination process to build new power plants. So back to every single investor-owned utility got rate increases. FPL was enormous. It was like an 18% rate increase. That while Duke and TECO did get rate increases, it wasn't at that level. Passing on fuel costs, it was referred to fuel in Florida as a pass-through. Utilities make money on capital expenditures, but not on fuel. But in Florida, we passed on about $2 billion in additional gas costs. So utility companies bet on gas. Gas prices are through the roof and customers pay for it. So from my point of view, from a climate change point of view, we have just had one of the most enormous wealth shifts. And for those of us that are working on equity, we have to keep front and center these institutionalized structured things that are causing this low wealth and wealth shifts. So to shift almost $2 billion, Duke already got 248 million. They're about to get another 314. TECO got 78. They're about to get another 168. FPL got $1.111 billion for additional gas costs. So that's money that's not staying in our local communities. And so So that's kind of our policy in Florida, and that's where we are. So that moves me to look for alternatives. I am a super proud board member of the Solar Energy Loan Fund. Sheila did a great job of sort of laying that out. And there were a couple of things that I wanted to mention. Solar Energy Loan Fund is a community development finance institution. So they're in line and they have access to enormous amounts of capital. It is a low LMI census tracts. About 70% of their loans are there because they are mission driven. And as Sheila mentioned, they loan on the ability to pay, and they are unsecured loans. This is super important because property assessed clean energy PACE works well in some regards, but those are secured loans, and there have been some incidents of people losing their homes. So I just put that kind of front and center. We have a generational opportunity with the money coming down from the federal government, not only to green banks. So SELF is a piece of that puzzle, but a lot of these other programs. I would also say, I don't know if I call it a word of caution, but having been through 2009 and President Obama and the stimulus dollars era, there was a lot of money that went to LIHEAP organizations. And some of it didn't go well, in part because they weren't used to having all those resources. So it's really important, CJ, and to your whole team, that this is going on so people are kind of ready for this. And every group, the utilities included, everybody's kind of got a role to play. So I would just raise that up. There are a lot of these sort of local coalitions, but we've got to figure out how to scale it up. And it can't just be a few families. In Orlando, they're a municipally owned utility. They came in with the worst proposal for energy efficiency. I think they helped like 73 homes. I mean, it's not acceptable. And I understand that there's a lot of political clout with utilities, and I understand some of those barriers, but this is where the rubber meets the road. And so anyway, that's what I want to say. And I come at it from a big picture point of view and a policy point of view. And the state of Florida is way behind. And the last thing I'll mention is I participated for almost a year with Duke University's Southeast Energy and Security Alliance, and Nancy Laura, who she's with Duke, used to live here in our community, was part of that. And I know that Duke and Tampa Electric are actually a little more open to moving past the rate impact measure. But again, these are political things that are going on in the state that have held Florida back and leave us at the back of the pack on our efficiency programs. So thank you.
Susan, thank you. I think that having an idea of where we stand policy-wise is important as we have these discussions about the different programs that are assisting our low income and moderate income communities, and to address the energy burden as well as the energy efficiency and reduction of greenhouse gases overall. So with this in mind, thank you to all of you that just shared with us. We want to move everyone into breakout groups. We do have some prompts, and you will all get paired up with our breakout leaders who we introduced earlier. They're going to help you move through those questions. We want to try to make sure each group touches on all 4 of the questions as much as possible. We want you to think creatively. We want you to think big picture as well as local boots on the ground. We know we're asking a lot, and we're asking you to do it in about 30 minutes, but we think that you're all coming with some of these thoughts already. So we'll be feverishly taking notes. We will have a Google Doc that we can share so you can actually put notes into it as well. And we're going to ask
that. Go ahead and post that into the chat now so everybody can access the Google Doc before I put them into breakout rooms.
Perfect. Okay. And we'll be able to share it in the breakout rooms as well. So if one of my team members can post that. And then
before we go, I want to say a few comments in response to thank you for pulling the diverse group together to present an information. One of the things that really started this whole question was how can we whether it's with the jurisdictions regionally, collaborate more effectively with the utilities to really identify and move the needle on specific energy burden households. And I'm live in Tampa, and so TECO was my provider. And I remember, you know, when I first moved in there, I had an energy audit, and I was never going to replace my windows because they're super expensive. But I did add room darkening, filtering, whatever, to reduce the reflection from the west gaze. And they also were like, you should really put in some insulation in your attic, keeping rooms cool. So the issue of what are the other types of tactics and strategies that we should be looking at for investment, for housing mitigation, or other improvement programs to reduce energy burden. The amount of money that I saved just by putting in a small amount of insulation, and then I got the rebate. I mean, these are some really move the needle things that maybe a door strip, maybe some other things will do. So one of the things I want to say is, you know, we're excited to identify these big picture things that we can do, figure out how to get more funding, ways to work even more concentration efforts with the utilities, and appreciate all the work that you're doing. So, okay, Taryn, sorry, you're going to review the questions and then I'll put everybody in breakouts.
Yeah, so our questions really first is like, you know, identifying needs and who, right? Who's being serviced, and understanding just how different incentives might work for those groups. Looking at other goals. So what are the overall goals or targets? So how are we going to measure some of these things? Does it include things like being solar ready, right? We can't go and put solar panels on homes that have old roofs. How do we begin to look at some of programs for rehabilitation that we may already have dollars for, that we could really focus in terms of some of those initiatives? Identifying challenges and roadblocks, and then your ideas for solutions and how those solutions may be able to find impact. During our next workshop, we'll really start looking at some of these ideas that you're coming up with now, and we'll address funding and resources in the next go round. We didn't want to try to pack it all in today because we know that the funding piece is a big topic. So so we'd like you to go ahead and you know, again, big picture and local boots on the ground, how we can work collaboratively. We're going to go ahead and break you into those groups for about 30 minutes. If you can pick someone to do your report back, that would be excellent. And then we'll have each of our 5 groups share kind of overall what their discussion was. Thank you again, and stay with us as we break you into groups. And then again, we'll bring you back in 30 minutes.
Okay, you shall be invited to join a group shortly.